Welcome to Chapter 10, Eating for a Healthier You. We are going to look at becoming more educated about nutrition and dietary behaviors and more skilled in making healthy food choices throughout this chapter. Hunger occurs when our brains initiate a physiological response that prompts us to seek food for the energy and nutrition that our bodies require to maintain proper functioning. Our bodies cannot synthesize certain essential nutrients, so we must obtain them from foods. The nutrients we need in the largest amounts are water, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. They're all called macronutrients. Other nutrients, the vitamins and minerals, are needed in smaller amounts, so they're called micronutrients. Before the body can use food, the digestive system must break down the larger food particles into smaller, more usable forms. This is the digestive process. Dietary reference intakes are umbrella guidelines and include categories such as the recommended dietary allowances, RDAs, intake levels necessary to meet the nutritional needs of 98% of healthy individuals. Adequate intake is average daily nutrient intake by healthy people when there's not enough research to determine the RDA. So it's like, that's enough. Tolerable upper intake level, UL. It's the highest amount of a nutrient that can be consumed without the risk of adverse health effects. And acceptable macronutrient distribution range is the range of intakes of carbs, fat, and protein that is associated with reduced risk of chronic disease and that provides adequate levels of essential nutrients. The calorie is the unit of measure that indicates the amount of energy obtained from a particular food. And a kilocalorie is 1 kilocalorie is equal to 1,000 calories. Most nutrition labels use the word calories to refer to the kilocalories. In other animals, they call it kcal, and that's what they look at for the calorie count. So here's a quick table to estimate our daily caloric needs, males versus females, and the different age ranges. And it also breaks it down into sedentary or active. So the sedentary amount of calories for somebody that is a 19 to 25-year-old female is 2,000. So if you're eating 2,000 calories and living a sedentary lifestyle, no activity, you're going to maintain your weight. If you're active and you are consuming 2,400 calories, you're going to maintain your weight as a 19 to 25-year-old female. So if you wanted to lose weight, you would cut your calories so that your outgoing calories, right, what you're spending, is greater than what you are intaking. Humans can survive so much longer without food than without water. Dehydration, it's the abnormal depletion of bodily fluids, can cause serious problems. Too much water can also pose a serious health risk. The body consists of 50 to 70% water by weight. Individual needs for water vary drastically, and that's according to dietary factors: age, size, overall health, environmental temperature, humidity levels, and exercise. General recommendations for women are approximately 9 cups of total water from all beverages and foods each day. For men, it's an average of about 13. Caffeinated drinks, including coffee, tea, and soda, also count towards total fluid intake for those who regularly consume them. But be careful, because caffeine is also a diuretic and it's going to pull water from your body. There are situations when people need to take in additional fluids in order to stay properly hydrated. Illness, experiencing warmer weather, working out, other factors. A good rule of thumb for water intake is half of your body weight in fluid ounces per day of water. So if you have a 100-pound person, cut that in half, 50 ounces of water per day. Proteins are a major component of every cell. They help repair tissue and assist in antibody production and hormone formation. They are also called bodybuilders. Your body breaks down proteins into smaller nitrogen-containing molecules known as amino acids. 9 of the 20 different amino acids must be obtained from the diet and are called essential amino acids. 11 of those amino acids are considered non-essential because the body can make them. Complete protein is a dietary protein that supplies all the essential amino acids. It usually comes from animals. Proteins from plant sources are incomplete. They lack 1 or 2 of the essential amino acids. Quinoa and soy are complete plant proteins. Eating complementary plant proteins can supply all of the essential amino acids needed. So we don't have to have an animal-based amino acid in our diet. We can actually fuel off of plant proteins completely. Very few Americans suffer from protein deficiency, and the average American adult consumes more than 83 grams of protein daily, mostly from high-fat animal sources. The recommended intake is only 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. A person might need additional protein if pregnant, if fighting off serious infection, recovering from surgery, or recovering from burns, because it helps our body to produce cells for rejuvenation. But in a 2,000 calorie diet, 10 to 35% of calories should come from lean protein. Not that 83 grams, that's a bit high. Carbohydrates supply us with the energy needed to sustain normal daily activity. For a quick source of energy, the human body metabolizes carbs faster and more efficiently than protein. There are 2 types of carbohydrates, simple and complex. Our simple carbs are glucose and fructose. They are monosaccharides, and they're mostly what we find in fruits and vegetables. And our disaccharides, sucrose, lactose, and maltose, they're found either in table sugar, milk sugar, or malt sugar. Our complex carbohydrates, polysaccharides, those are our starches, grains, cereals, and vegetables. They're stored in the body as glycogen. Okay, the body breaks down these complex carbs into glucose, which can then be used as energy or stored in the muscles and liver as glycogen. The glycogen is broken down into glucose when the body needs a sudden burst of energy. Fiber, it's often called bulk or the roughage, is the indigestible portion of the plant. Foods that help to move foods through the digestive system. So in celery, those the hairs in the celery, they call it, or the lines in the celery, that's actually otherwise known as nature's toothbrush, because those help food move through and pass through. And so other vegetables have those as well. Fiber is either soluble, it can be dissolved in water or digested in the bacteria in the colon, or it's insoluble. It cannot be dissolved in the water and cannot be fermented by the bacteria in the colon. So our dietary fiber comprises the non-digestible forms of carbs that come from parts of the plant, the leaves, stems, seeds. We can't digest that. The functional fiber consists of non-digestible forms of carbohydrates that may come from the plants or may be manufactured in a lab and have known health benefits. Total fiber is the sum of both, and it really helps keep things moving. So hopefully you see now that not all carbs are created equal. Fruits and vegetables are considered carbs. We want to be mindful of the carbs that we're intaking. So whole grains and high fiber diets can protect against obesity. colon and rectal cancers, heart disease, constipation, and perhaps type 2 diabetes. Choose foods like brown rice over white rice, wheat, bran, and whole grain breads and cereals. It takes our body longer to break those foods down. Increase fiber intake to 25 grams per day for women and 38 grams for men. Fiber keeps everything moving. Eat fewer refined carbohydrates. Fats truly get a bad rap when it comes to our diet, and they're really the most energy-dense source of calories in our diet. Fats play a vital role in insulating organs against cold and shock, as well as maintaining healthy skin and hair. Triglycerides make up the majority of fat in our body. The remaining fat in our bodies is composed of substances like cholesterol, a type of sterol, and lipoproteins. Whereas low-density lipoproteins, LDLs, transport cholesterol to the body's cells, high-density lipoproteins, HDLs, transport circulating cholesterol to the liver for metabolism and elimination from the body. Triglycerides make up 95% of total body fat. When we consume too many calories from any source, the liver converts the excess into triglycerides, which are stored throughout our bodies. Cholesterol makes up 5% of total body fat and can accumulate on inner walls of arteries and contribute to cardiovascular disease. And so the ratio of cholesterol, HDL, and LDL helps to determine that risk for heart disease. Saturated fats are mainly from animal sources, and they are solid at room temperature. Unsaturated fats come from plants, and they're liquid at room temperature. And they include most vegetable oils. So your monounsaturated include peanut and olive oils, polyunsaturated, corn, sunflower, and safflower. Both terms refer to the relative number of hydrogen atoms that are missing in a fatty acid chain. Monounsaturated seem to lower LDL levels and increase HDL levels. So there are good fats. Polyunsaturated fatty acids come in two forms: omega-3 fatty acids found in many types of fish, omega-6 fatty acids found in corn, soybean, and cottonseed oil. Two types are essential: linoleic acid and alpha linoleic acid. Just a 2% caloric intake of trans fat was associated with a 23% increased risk for heart disease. Trans fat, including partially hydrogenated oils, are fatty acids produced by adding hydrogen molecules to liquid to make the oil into a solid. In 2015, the FDA ruled that partially hydrogenated oils are no longer generally recognized as safe for consumption. If you see the words partially hydrogenated oils, fractioned oils, shortening, lard, or hydrogenated on a food label, then trans fats are present. Moderation truly is key. Less than 10% of your total calories should come from saturated fats, and no more than 35% should come from all forms of fat. Eat fatty fish. Use soy, olive, peanut, and canola oils instead of lard or butter. Add healthy amounts of green leafy vegetables, walnuts, walnut oil, and grounded flaxseed to your diet. So tips to reduce your overall intake of less healthy fats: read the food labels. Chill soups and stews and scrape off the fat that hardens. So this is if you make a stew or a soup at home. What happens is the meat and all of the fats, once it chills, it'll raise to the top and there'll be like a hard thickening on top. Hold the creams and sauces. Cream sauces, typically very high in fat. Avoid all products with trans fatty acids. Choose lean meat, fish, and skinless poultry. There's a lot of fat in that skin. Choose fewer cold cuts and less bacon, sausages, hot dogs, and organ meats. and select non-fat and low-fat dairy products. So in moderation, just be mindful of what it is that you are taking in. Vitamins are organic compounds that promote growth and are essential for maintaining life and health. They're classified as either fat-soluble or water-soluble. Fat-soluble means that they're absorbed through the intestinal tract with the help of fats. A, D, E, and K vitamins are fat-soluble and tend to store in the body. Toxic levels can accumulate with regular consumption in excess of upper limits. Water-soluble dissolve in water. B complex vitamins and vitamin C are water-soluble. These are generally excreted and cause few toxicity problems, but it is still possible. Vitamin D is formed in the skin when exposed to UV light. For people who can't get enough sunshine, vitamin D needs to be obtained through foods. Vitamin D is essential for the body's regulation of calcium. A deficiency in vitamin D can result in osteoporosis, rickets, depression, seasonal affective disorder. Adequate levels of vitamin D may reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and even some cancers. Folate is needed for vitamin D is formed in the skin when exposed to UV sunlight. For people who can't get enough sunshine, vitamin D needs to be obtained through foods. It's essential for the body's regulation of calcium. Deficiency in vitamin D can result in vitamin D is formed when the skin is exposed to the sun. For people who can't get enough sunshine, vitamin D needs to be obtained through foods. Vitamin D is essential for the body's regulation of calcium, and a deficiency can result in osteoporosis, rickets, and even depression. Adequate levels of vitamin D may reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and even some cancers. Excess vitamin D can be dangerous, so it's just need to be mindful of what your intake is. Folate is needed for the production of compounds necessary for DNA synthesis in body cells. So the FDA requires that all bread, cereal, rice, and pasta products be fortified with folic acid, the synthetic form of folate, to reduce birth defects. Here's a brief reference guide to vitamins, giving the vitamin name, primary function, recommended intake. It differs from men to women, and reliable food sources and ways to get those vitamins naturally. Minerals are inorganic, indestructible elements that build body tissues and assist bodily processes. Vitamins cannot be absorbed without minerals. There are two different types of minerals. Major minerals are needed in large amounts: sodium, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, potassium, sulfur, and chloride. Trace minerals are needed in smaller amounts: iron, zinc, manganese, copper, and iodine. Excesses or deficiencies of trace minerals can cause serious problems. Sodium is necessary for the regulation of blood and bodily fluids, transmission of nerve impulses, heart activity, and certain metabolic functions. The majority of sodium in our diets come from highly processed foods that are enhanced with sodium to enhance flavor and preservation. Many experts believe there is a link between sodium intake and hypertension. Calcium is a primary mineral component of bones and teeth. It's also essential for muscle contraction, blood clotting, nerve pulse transmission, and acid-base balances. Most Americans do not consume calcium in their diets, don't consume enough calcium in their diets. Calcium is available in dairy products or calcium fortified products such as orange juice. Many leafy vegetables contain calcium: broccoli, cauliflower, peas, beans. Consuming carbonated soft drinks can cause you to excrete excess or extra calcium, which can cause calcium loss from your bones. So carbonated soft drinks, it's depleting your body of calcium that is needed. Iron deficiency is the most common nutrient deficiency worldwide in the United States. Women aged 19 to 50 need about 18 milligrams per day, and men aged 19 to 50 need about 8 milligrams a day. Iron has to do with our blood. So can we guess why women need more of it? Iron deficiency frequently leads to iron deficiency anemia, which results from the body's inability to produce hemoglobin. And iron overload or toxicity, it's due to ingesting too many iron-containing supplements, is the leading cause of poisoning among small children in the United States. So high meat consumption, iron fortification, and supplementation is also associated with cardiovascular disease and cancer. So it's about finding the balance. And every body is different. Functional foods are foods that may have additional health benefits beyond the nutrients that they contribute to the diet. Antioxidants are substances that appear to protect against oxidative stress by combating free radicals. So they scavenge these free radicals, they slow their formation and repair oxidative stress damage. They help the body heal itself. Phytochemicals are very powerful antioxidants that are thought to protect against UV radiation, pests, and other threats. Common examples are carotenoids and polyphenols, flavonoids found in fruits and vegetables, also soy products, tea, chocolate. Yes, chocolate is healthy. Here's a quick glance at our major minerals. The name, primary function, the recommended intake, and reliable food sources. We can get all of our vitamins and minerals from food. Those that don't, some people don't absorb some of these things. They need to add vitamins and minerals to their diet through supplements. Americans today consume about 900 more calories per day than they did 50 years ago. Why? Well, take a look at our portion sizes between 1960 and 2010. Things certainly have gotten a lot bigger over the years. Bigger isn't always better. The 2015-2020 dietary guidelines are recommendations for eating a healthy, nutritionally adequate diet. They include 5 guidelines. Follow a healthy eating pattern across the lifespan. Focus on variety, nutrient density, and amount. So these foods have higher levels of nutrition and fiber for a relatively low number of calories. So looking at that calorie density, right, we can have raisins or dried up grapes. 5 raisins or 5 grapes. Which one is more filling? The grapes are holding water and there's more density there. So it's going to take up more space in our body and it's going to help us to feel fuller. So the more water that's within our food, water foods, is going to help us to feel fuller, and it's actually much more nutrition for us, much more nutritional for us. Limit our calories from added sugars and saturated fats and reduce sodium intake. And shift to healthier food and beverage choices. ChooseMyPlate.gov is a great stepping stone for getting into more health-conscious food patterns. The guidance system takes into consideration the dietary and caloric needs for a wide variety of individuals. So their messages are to eat nutrient-dense foods. It's important to recognize that there are large calorie, fat, and energy differences among foods within a given food group. Something I just talked about. Eat foods that have a high nutritional value for their caloric content. Eat seafood twice a week. A lot of seafood is high in omega-3 fatty acids. Reduce empty calorie foods, cakes, cookies, pastries. This is my favorite food group, but reduce it. Moderation is fine, but it shouldn't be at the top of your list and where you're getting the majority of your calories. And then, of course, engage in any activity that gets your heart pumping. That's physical activity. Anything that gets the heart pumping a little bit faster. Okay, so we need to step into more mindful eating, and our first step is to really read our food labels. It helps us to evaluate the nutritional values of packaged foods. The percent daily value lets you know how a serving of food will contribute to nutrient levels in your diet. And the Food and Drug Administration allows for 3 types of health-related claims on food and dietary supplements. Health claims describe a relationship between a food product and health promotion or disease prevention. When the current scientific evidence supports risk reduction, the FDA approves the health claim. Nutrient content claims indicate that a specific nutrient is present at a certain level that is high in fiber. Structure and function claims describe the effect that a component of the food product has on the body. So calcium builds strong bones. Front of package labeling. Facts up front is voluntary labeling initiative that manufacturers can use to provide quick, accurate information for the consumer. So be mindful of what's on these labels. So here we have sample label for macaroni and cheese, and we have original label on the left, proposed new label on the right. And so we'll just look at the start here, right? We want to look at our serving sizes. Within the box, the serving size is 2/3 of a cup, and the servings per container per box is 8. We come down to calories. Calories is 230. Oh, so this box of macaroni and cheese has 230 calories. Nope. Multiply that by 8. So if you eat the entire box of macaroni and cheese, you're over about, 1,700-1,800 calories. That's, for women, that's close to your caloric intake for the day. So it's being mindful of what you are consuming. And then you get your list of fats, sugars, proteins, and vitamins. So look at what you're consuming. Look at what you're taking in. Understanding serving size is important for meeting dietary needs. A serving is a recommended amount you should consume. A portion is the amount you choose to eat at any one time. So the serving is the recommended. The portion is how much you actually take in. This is a quick serving size card, and being mindful of what one serving looks like. So meat, let's look in the bottom right, the purple. 3 ounces of meat or poultry, palm of your hand, this part, right? Just this part. That's what a serving size is 3 ounces of meat. When you go to a restaurant and you see a 32-ounce ribeye, how many portions are you actually eating? Our portion control in this country has gotten way out of control. You don't have to eat everything that is put in front of you. You can choose to save some for later. The word vegetarian means different things to different people. Strict vegetarians or vegans avoid all food of animal origin. And then from there on, for me, it gets a little confusing. There's lacto-vegetarians. They eat dairy products but avoid flesh foods and eggs. Ovo-vegetarians add eggs to the vegan diet. And then there's lacto-ovo and pesco. But with proper information and food choices, vegetarianism really provides a superb alternative to meat-based diets. So we can get nutrients in a way that is not of animal origin. Dietary supplements are products such as vitamins and minerals that are taken by mouth to supplement existing diets. They're not regulated by the FDA. And so they're responsible for their own monitoring. So if you decide to take a dietary supplement, it's suggested to look for a company that does third-party testing on their products. That's somebody outside of their own organization that's doing the testing to make sure that it's safe. And the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics recommends that there are benefits for some people in taking supplements. A healthy diet is truly the best way to give your body what it needs. So your demographic, college students, you face a lot of challenges when it comes to trying to eat healthy. And mindful eating can really help you avoid processed foods and unhealthy food and beverage choices. Taking a pause in between each breath and allowing your body to your brain to catch up to your body, right? And there's signals sent from the stomach to the brain. So sometimes that signal is delayed. But if you must eat fast food, check the nutritional analysis of the items. When you order salads, I think so many times at a fast food place, we think salads are so much healthier. That's not always the case. Go to Wendy's and order a taco salad. That's not healthy. There is nothing healthy about that at all. Basically, you've just ordered nachos and called it a salad. If you crave fries, maybe baked fries instead of the oils. Looking at things like avoiding the giant size portions. You don't need to supersize it. Limiting your beverages and foods that are high in added sugars. And at least once per week, add a vegetable-based meat substitute into your fast food choices. Just eat more vegetables, period. So while we don't have a dining hall here, it's still a good rule of thumb to kind of look over this for suggestions for our diet. Choosing lean meats, grilled fish, and chicken. Salads as often as possible. Include avocados, nuts, beans, high in protein. Choosing baked potatoes, add grilled chicken to your salads, more protein. And avoid seconds. Give yourself time between the meal. Allow your stomach to send the signal to your brain. Pass on those high calorie, low nutrient sweets. Foodborne pathogens sicken over 94 million people and cause over 1,300 deaths per year. And symptoms of foodborne illnesses include diarrhea, nausea, cramping, and vomiting. There are several factors that contribute to the illness of foodborne, to the increase in foodborne illnesses, and they include inadequate oversight of both foreign and domestic suppliers by uncoordinated and underfunded federal agencies. Raw foods contribute to foodborne pathogens. Unhealthy handling of the foods contribute. And symptoms occur from 30 minutes after eating to several days or even weeks later. Organic foods and beverages are developed, grown, or raised without the use of synthetic pesticides, chemicals, or hormones. There's also no antibiotics, fertilizers. Today, any food sold as organic has to meet criteria set by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and carry a USDA seal verifying products as certified organic. The market for organics has been increasing faster than food sales for many years. Research on whether organic food is more nutritious is conflicting. Locavores are those who eat only foods grown or produced locally. So they attend their local farmers market, or they have contact with local farmers or grow their own. Unsafe handling of food in the home results in more than 30% of foodborne illnesses. So there are several ways to reduce risks, and we wash hands, wash produce before eating it. Cross-contamination can be avoided by having separate cutting boards for meats, then separate from vegetables and fruits. Being mindful of temperature of our refrigeration and also our food temperatures. Eating leftovers in a relatively short amount of time. And when in doubt, throw it out. Now that we've gotten all of the furry food out of the refrigerator, let's touch on sensitivities, allergies, and intolerances to food. A food allergy is also known as a hypersensitivity, and it's an abnormal response to food triggered by the immune system. And symptoms are varied. It could be tingling sensation in the mouth, swelling of the lips, tongue, throat, difficulty breathing, hives, vomiting, abdominal upset, diarrhea. Anaphylaxis is a severe reaction, and it's potentially deadly. to a food allergen that causes widespread inflammation throughout the body, in particular to the and it causes cardiovascular problems, and it causes a sudden drop in the blood pressure. There are 8 major food allergens, which are required by food manufacturers to be clearly labeled. Those food allergens are milk, egg, peanuts, wheat, soy, tree nuts, fish, and shellfish. I think I got 8. Food intolerances, they're less dramatic reaction than food allergies, and they're not the result of immune response, but they generally show up as gastric upset. Lactose intolerance is common and also happens in response to food additives, such as MSG, sulfites, and gluten. Celiac disease is an inherited autoimmune disorder that causes malabsorption of nutrients from the small intestine, and gluten is a trigger for celiac disease. Some of these food intolerances may also have psychological triggers. Genetic modification involves the insertion or deletion of genes into the DNA of an organism, otherwise known as your food. The long-term safety of genetically modified foods is still in question. They just don't know. But the World Health Organization states that no effects on human health have been shown by the consumption of genetically modified foods. Be mindful of what you're consuming. Read your labels. Watch for genetic modification. Oftentimes, a genetic modification is to make crossbreeding different types of food. Plucots, they're a cross between a plum and an apricot. Is that genetically modified, or did they cross on their own? Foods are made bigger through genetic modification. Crops are grown at a larger propensity through genetic modification. Do you want that, or do you want something that was grown locally, that is nutrient dense naturally, rather than genetically modified? Read your labels. Make informed decisions. This is your body. You only get one of them. Put in to your body good, healthy foods. Take care of you, and I can't wait to have a discussion about this on Thursday. Be well.